the Nevada area manager for Ames Construction. Seth he's been involved in multiple high-profile projects throughout his career in the construction industry. Notable projects include USA Parkway, design build in Nevada, St. Croix Crossing, design build in Minnesota, I-15 Core in Utah, and I-15 Trex, design build in Colorado. In 2015, Seth opened an Ames office in Reno, so that's really exciting. And that has grown to include all heavy civil operations throughout the state of Nevada. And then just as an interesting note, in Seth's free time, he enjoys snowboarding and spending time with his wife, Helena, and Aliyah, and his newborn daughter, Harmony. So it's great that you have the time to join us, Seth. I know you're out there working on the project. I've heard that there's some paving that's gone on, and you're probably, I think, in between stages. So we're looking forward to getting an update from you, and thankful that you had the time to share some insight into what's going on your project here. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Do you have a presentation to pull up?
I do.
Excellent.
And thank you for the wonderful introduction, Charles. Very honored to be here presenting today, and very excited to share some information on the Spaghetti Bowl Express project, phase 1. So I do get comments from time to time that we're building a 28-year project, and that is not this contract. That is all the phases of Spaghetti Bowl. You may notice I'm wearing a mask. That's because I have another technical expert here that's going to share some detailed concrete paving information. So we are socially distancing at the Ames office, and Scott Rout, our regional concrete manager, will be offering some comments as well specific to the concrete paving. So what is Spaghetti Bowl Express? It's Nevada DOT contract 3811, contract value at award, a little over $181 million. Who are the people involved in this project? The design builder is Ames Q&D Constructors, which is a joint venture of Ames Construction and Q&D Construction. The designer on this design team is Horrocks Engineers. On the owner's side, project management is involved, District 2 construction, all the NDOT technical staff reviewing the design, and support from Jacobs and DCS. And sorry if I missed anybody, there are numerous subcontractors, suppliers, consultants on both the Ames Q&D and the NDOT side. What is the project? As was mentioned in some earlier presentations, this is a major improvement to the I-80, 580 interchange. Specifically, phase 1 is improvements to the southbound 580, eastbound 80 ramp, and those improvements continue southbound on 580 all the way to Vassar Street. There is limited improvements on northbound. There is some pavement replacement that we've been working on this year that goes from Mill Street up to the Truckee River. There's additional lanes being added with this project. Notably, the I-80 eastbound to 580 southbound ramp is going to be 2 lanes. Currently, it merges down to 1 lane. Reconfigure I-580 southbound to 3 lanes and 4 lanes plus an additional auxiliary lane between the Spaghetti Bowl and Vassar Street. We're constructing new or widening a total of 7 bridges. I'll get into that in a minute. There's a reconstruction of the 2nd Glendale and Mill Street southbound on-ramps to allow better merge lengths between those ramps. If anybody's travels that way on their commute, some of those merges in between the ramps are quite short right now. And we kind of covered the replacement of portions of I-580 northbound pavement that weren't replaced in prior projects. Some of bridge demolition and reconstruction over the Truckee River. Oh, crap. Sorry, can everybody hear me? I may be having an IT issue here.
Yeah, I can hear you, Seth. I had a small just probably a 20-second audio silence, and I thought it was maybe my end, but I guess I think we're fine now though. It looks like it's working okay, so I'll jump in if we have another one. But yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I think we're on track.
I apologize. Yeah, my screen just kind of went blank for a second, but it's back on now. So I'm gonna start over again on the screen that I'm on right now, the notable project challenges. So there are not a lot of alternate routes in this area. 580 northbound and southbound is the main north-south route in Reno. So we're trying to minimize impacts to motorists during reconstruction. Because of that, we're leaving as many lanes open as possible during construction. We have bridge demolition and new construction of the I-580 southbound over the Truckee River. So there are environmental requirements that go hand in hand with that. We're also rebuilding the southbound 580 bridge over the railroad. We are currently working through those railroad agreements, and everything appears to be on schedule. And even our less major structures, they're still over local roadways. There are numerous stakeholders in the area, and we're doing everything we can to limit those impacts. Major items of work, like I discussed briefly, we have a new structure over the Union Pacific Railroad, precast concrete girder structure. We have a new southbound structure over the Truckee River. We have new southbound structures over 2nd and Glendale and Mill Street. Notable at Mill Street, that is a bridge on drilled shaft foundations. As I mentioned, the southbound Mill and 2nd on and off ramps, as we're reconfiguring that interchange, we're creating a braided ramp for the southbound Mill off ramp and the 2nd Mill Street on ramp. That is achieved with a box culvert structure that traffic will pass through. And then also notable, we have 2 bridge widenings, southbound at Vassar and southbound 580 over the east to north ramp. We have numerous components to this project. I did not attempt to list them all here, but we have several types of walls. We're providing a new precast concrete neighborhood wall around the Reno Sparks Indian Colony to give that neighborhood a little more security and visual screening from the new ramps. We have cast in place concrete retaining walls. We have visual screening walls along the freeway and ramps, and we have sound walls on the majority of southbound that are also cast in place concrete. As part of this project, we will be also constructing new median barrier and the southbound roadside barrier. So I promised you guys we would get to some exciting stuff. Now that we're ready to talk concrete pavement, I'm going to turn it over to Scott for a few minutes and let him talk about our paving operations on this project.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Rout with Ames Construction. I oversee the concrete paving for this region, as well as all the regions that we're performing paving in, from Texas to Utah to Arizona. As the current projects that we have on the books. This project for the Spaghetti Bowl is approximately 80,000 square yards of 11-inch plain jointed paved concrete. So dowel bars, tie bar design configuration, which is approximately with yield about 25,700 cubic yards of concrete. It's done in multiple phases, as Seth mentioned. We have performed approximately 6,000 cubic yards of concrete this calendar year for phase 1A and phase 1B. And we have done that multiple ways, method of pavement, hand pour some pavement and slip pavement. The paving equipment that we will be utilizing on this project throughout the multiple phases in 2020, 21, and 22 is we own a Gunnar Zimmerman 850 paver that is stringless, a Gameco 2600 that we utilize on phase 1A or phase 1B. It's string line, a Gameco Commander 3, which we will also use in zero clearance, and in addition to helping slip some of the barrier that'll come later on in the project. We place the concrete through our Mako 9500, and then the tying and cure machine to provide the tying specs per NDOT specifications, and then the curing. But one of the things that's new to this, not new to this region, but not performed very often, is the slip paving machine and running stringless. But here's just a few pictures of kind of the red paver is the Gunnar Zimmerman. And this is at a project in Texas for an intermodal facility to a railroad owner. That's doweled pavement. The picture on the right-hand side is our cure operations at our Utah project at the Tech Corridor. And then just to talk a little bit about, so with the phasing in the multiple areas, and then the traveling public, there are some areas where we can't pave that we want to slip. Obviously, slipping provides better, more, higher quality pavement. So we set up our Commander 3 in a side mount configuration as shown in the picture. This is on our Tech Corridor project for UDOT. And so it allows us to slip when there's no track grade, or there's a wall beside us, or basically a barrier, or there's a slope that we can't provide the track grade, so we can perform more of the square yardage of concrete through and with the utilization of a paving machine. So the picture you see here is we are actually running stringless with the slope sensor on the machine to allow that to be set up stringless, so there's no string line for anybody to trip over. There's nothing in the way that allows for easy access, and so when you're paving in tight areas, it allows for the delivery of the concrete to occur quickly, and so that the paver doesn't have to stop moving. So one of the things that, as we come into this area, and in all of our projects that we're experiencing, as everyone on this call is experiencing, is the global pandemic. The COVID-19 has provided its own unique set of challenges, as we have experienced since the start of this in March. Is due to shipping concerns. There's supplies that we run into that we have to properly plan. The manufacturers that make our dowel bars and our tie bars run into problems within their facilities where they need to apply social distancing, so there's maybe not as many people on assembly lines, so it slows down their production, which slows down our ability to receive the materials. Raw material availability, for example, the Cure has materials that come from different areas of the world that sometimes it's hard to get that on a timely basis, where we used to be able to call up and get stuff within a couple of weeks. It's upwards of 6 to 10 weeks now. And that drastically increases the lead times for materials and equipment. So as we go through the planning and the phasing, and when we need that, we have to take all that into consideration. Sometimes we be quoted a lead time of 2 to 3 weeks, and it's up. We've waited on equipment to show up 16, 18 weeks later, just for the fact that there'd been an outbreak or something at the facility that we're buying this from. So then their production stops, and it's just a trickle down effect. In addition, as we perform the work, we have manpower impacts. If there's exposure or something that in the paving, we are in a close knit group as we're working around the paver, beside the paver. We wear our masks, but then there's exposures, and we need to quarantine certain individuals to control the spread. In the Reno market. In the Reno market, we do purchase, but this is a smaller project in the grand scheme of the paving, the 25,000 cubic yards. So we have in this area, we are able to purchase wet batch concrete. So another challenge we've seen is we bring in dump trucks to place the concrete through the placer, which helps facilitate a higher production rate, so the paver continues to move, so there's not a stop and start concern with the paving operation. In the pictures at the final slide here is our project here in the Reno area. It's for the I-80 at USA Parkway. In 2019, we brought out our Commander 3, and we slipped the single slope barrier as the improvement to the median, or the median barrier. And this was an offset barrier with a step of upwards of 18 inches for the 42-inch single slope. This project also has similar designs for the barrier down the median, and this machine will be utilized to help pour that concrete as well. I'll turn this back over to Seth, and if there's any questions on the pavement or any questions for Seth, please let us know. Appreciate that.
Thanks, guys. I think I'm back on here. Looks like I'm live. Thanks, Seth. I really enjoy the kind of the real-time update from a project, from the Spaghetti Bowl Xpress project, coming into this virtual conference. I think that's a cool concept. Maybe next time we can get some GoPro footage coming straight off the job would be kind of fun. But
we sure can. We would be happy to present again next year with another upgrade.
With COVID, it's more and more difficult to get out on projects. You guys are the essential workers. People like me, I don't really go out and get in your way. It makes it complicated to have visitors on projects. So I think it's really interesting to have this kind of report where we can do a virtual report from the field and see what's going on. So maybe we can set something up, later during, when you're out there busy, we can do some kind of a report from a significant part of the project that you're working on, and maybe have just a couple hour meeting or something. And I think that'd be a neat concept. We have a couple questions coming in here. Is the pavement reinforced or unreinforced?
The pavement is reinforced with dowel bars and tie bars, but not with rebar.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it's a jointed plane.
Load transfer dowels and tie bars connecting the longitudinal joints, and then a load transfer dowel based upon the NDOT design every 15 feet.
Right. So the steel is at the joints, but not out in the middle of the slabs.
Yes, sir.
And that steel is in the form of dowel bars and tie bars.
Yep, 1.5 dowels at 12 inches on center through the transverse, and then number 5 rebar 30 inches on center on the longitudinal.
Anything else unique as far as materials? I mean, the concrete, is there anything unique in your mix design on this project? Or is
Well,
it
in the Reno area, as we pour all over the United States, we I'm learning the concrete here. So the suppliers here actually run a natural polyzolan. So, and it's a pumice, basically a pumice type stone instead of the fly ash that you see in other areas. And then the aggregates are a little bit, a little softer in this region. So we have to max out our cement at 7.5 sacks, and then we run 30% natural polyzolan. So one of the specs that NDOT has is you need to have a flexural strength of 550 and the calendar days of 10 days. However, even with the maxing out of the cementitious content, we are seeing breaks taking as long as 18 days, 20 days to get to our 550. So,
yeah.
All that has to be, considered in our planning and our cure. The ability to move to the next phase requires sometimes you have to drive on what you just poured.
Right.
So, that is one of the, things we've been learning as we started pouring concrete in this region.
Great. Let's see. Instead of rebar, are you using fiber?
No, we are not.
If so, okay. So and then it was if so, what is the fiber spec? I don't think fiber. Yeah. Well, I haven't seen it much in a production mode like that. You see it more in smaller projects and bridge decks and things like that. One more question: are the SCMs in the concrete mix design, and what are there SCMs? So you addressed part of that, and what are the performance requirements of the mix? So I think maybe you can just reiterate that. I think you answered that, but let's.
Yeah. So the performance requirements. So we have FlexRule that allows for early opening. The design requirement for the compressive is 4,028 days. The step is to at 490 psi. You're allowed to put the track of the paver on it, on the machine, on the concrete. At 550 and 10 days, you're allowed to drive on the concrete and open it to traffic. And then the flexural at 28 days is to be 650. But the acceptance for NDOT requirements is 4,028 compressive.
Yeah, that's pretty aggressive, especially on the 28. I think when you get all those SCMs in there, I've seen other DOTs pushing that out to 42 days to allow that 650 strength.
Yeah, and at 650, it's not rejected in the 28 days. You still can have the hold of the 56 days to get to your 650. The big one is for the acceptance is the 4,000 psi.
All right, one more here from Tom Van Dam. On a 3-inch HMA base, ? Are you using a bond breaker? So something in between that base and then the concrete on top.
Yeah, so we are using the material that we use, and it's at an application rate of 75 square foot per gallon, or 2 coats at 150, or 1 coat, but you need 2 coats at 150 square foot per gallon. So is the WR Meadows 1600 wax cure needs to be sprayed to the top of the asphalt prior to pavement.
Okay. Sounds great. I don't have any other questions here. So I appreciate your input and sharing all this knowledge about the project. I find it really interesting. Hopefully the audience, it sounds like we got a good amount of questions, so the audience found it interesting as well. So
yeah, and the surface texture of the pavement, if anybody, it's longitudinally tined. One of the big things that I've seen that was unique to me is the specification, and the NDOT spec requires us to, at the joints, at the longitudinal joints, you have to not place the tines within 2 to 3 inches from each joint. So when we pave 2 lanes, we need to take our cure machine, a cure time machine. It needs to be steerable because you have to hold that center line joint, and you got to give them 4 to 6 inches down the center. So we bend up the tine rakes to allow the machine to place that, but not get within that longitudinal joint that'll be cut in.
That's an interesting
That was
challenge.
one of the challenges of this project. I've never done that before, so it was unique to me. But that's the way the specification
is. That because they want to stripe it there?
It's striping, and then doesn't really say the reason behind it in the specification, but the way it was explained is there's also striping there, and then they don't want that tine to get that close to the joint to have any spalling or any delamination over time.
One last question came in. Are there shrinkage requirements for the pavement? You know, in the concrete mix, sometimes you'll see a shrinkage requirement.
No, I'd have to look at it. Nothing that stood out that was any requirement. I know in our Texas market, there's thermal expansion that we can meet, that the aggregates need to meet, but I haven't seen that here.
Great. Well, excellent. Thank you for the technical knowledge there. That was good. So Seth, I just want to wrap up with you and thank you again. And looks like, I mean, I've heard stories of COVID on projects, so I feel for you guys. You know, you are essential workers out there, and you got to work in tight proximity with other people, and you're at a higher risk out there. And so the masks and the distancing, we appreciate what you're doing out there, and stay safe, and keep the project clean, because I know if you get one guy out there, it becomes such a challenge to disruptive to the crew and to the whole process if you get somebody out there that's positive. So I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Charles, for giving us an opportunity to present, and we're always happy to give another project update whenever someone would be in.
I'll follow up with you. Maybe in the spring. I think, when are you going to get into some heavy paving again? Is that sort of
summer of 2021? We should be paving again.
Okay, well, I'll follow up with you, and we'll find an interesting time to do a report. And so maybe 3 to 6 months, we'll get something set up. That sounds like fun.
Okay, thank you.
All right, take care, Seth. Thank you.